So, my name is Ashe Dryden. I'm on Twitter at Ashe Dryden. I am pretty much everywhere online as Ashe Dryden. I'm an indie developer in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm also a conference organizer, and I talk to a lot of people about things like diversity and empathy and being human beings, because I'm a human being, and I think that's pretty cool. So, out of curiosity, how many people are in here? None? So we have like 10% people? And then all right, cool, just making sure. So technology is made of people. I've been in the tech industry for like 10 or 12 years, and I've worked with a lot of different people. I've worked by myself, I've worked on teams, I've worked with other companies on things, and the biggest thing that I take away from any of this is that every single person is different, every single situation is different, and it really is people up and down. So one of the things that I love about the Ruby community, and I should preface that I've only been in the Ruby community for about 2 years, actually come from PHP, yes, you can grow more. I've been in the Ruby community for about 2 years. One of the things that I really love about the Ruby community is how passionate people are about improving. We're really big on things like craftsmanship, on quality. We have these community values that we all share and things that are really important to us that I've never seen in any other community. So I'm sure that most people recognize this. This is the Manifesto for Software Craftsmanship. And we talk a lot about this, a lot of conferences that we go to. But we tend to focus on the technical stuff, and we miss this part. And this is probably the most important part to me. Because I don't work by myself. I don't create software in a vacuum. I work with other people. I keep turning away from the mic. I work with other people. I work with my clients. I work with their users. So the way that I speak and interact with them is really important. And I'm surprised that we don't talk about this more. So show of hands, how many people have worked at a job they didn't like? Oh, so there are more people that don't work a job they didn't like than are people. Cool. So we spend a lot of time at work. The vast majority of us spend about 40 hours a week. I hope that nobody's spending more than that at work. And then we go home and we work on open source. I see you guys giggling. We go home and we work on open source. We work on community projects. We're kind of always dealing with a type of work. And I have wanted to change this for a long time. I really don't like working as much as I do. I really believe in having a work-life balance. And part of not wanting to work as much is in the fact that we're really not good at working with each other. We're not good at communicating with each other. We're not good at dealing with problems. We have a really easy time dealing with software problems. We can write tests for things. We can test things. We can send it off to a QA department and have them deal with something else. But when it comes to interpersonal problems, it's a lot harder. So we are really bad at solving actual problems. I think that a lot of people have heard the term head pack. Problem exists between keyboard and computer. We've probably had a lot of users that say something like, it doesn't work for me, and then you find out that they're clicking on the wrong button, or they're looking at the wrong website. I've had that one before. We aren't getting to the actual problem of things. And I've worked for a lot of companies when people problems are brought to them. I have a problem with this person, or I can't work on this team, or there's too much pressure, there's always so much anxiety. How can we fix this? We try to apply software to the problem. I can't tell you how many times I've worked at a place where we say, this project is so far behind. Like, we should just start over, redo the estimate, work with the client, and figure out where we can go, how we can make this go better. And they'll say, well, we should probably pick a different project management tool. Instead of, we are really bad at managing projects. And that's not a discussion that we have a lot. And I'm kind of interested in why that's so. So about 4 years ago, I quit my job, my capital J-O-B job, and I work for myself now, which is the best job I've ever had because I'm an awesome boss. Really awesome boss. I give myself a lot of leeway in things and lots of treats. So I started making a list of the kinds of problems that I kept seeing at places that I was working because I wanted to make sure that in my client interactions, I wasn't doing that with my clients. I wasn't going into one of my clients' teams and leading their team and bringing these problems with me, and that I could help solve these problems. So I started making a list, and I realized that I wasn't immune to the problems. There are a lot of things that I contributed to that I could definitely see, like, oh crap, I was the reason that project totally went off the rails. That's really awkward. I have a really hard time, and I think most people do, with admitting that that I'm the problem and trying to solve the problem with myself. Because it's a lot easier to say, you know, the project manager told the client that we would get this out too soon. We didn't have actual requirements. We've all heard these excuses, so I don't have to go into a long list. But it's really hard to kind of internalize these things and say, oh crap, I am the problem. So I made a list of about 8 problem areas of the actual problems, and then things that we could start working on to actually fix them. Can I get water? I forgot to grab water. Thank you. So in the Ruby community, we do a lot of different things to practice getting better at being programmers. We do pairing, so we can actually get somebody else's perspective on something and change the way that we solve problems and think outside the box. We go to code retreats. How many people have been to code retreat? Speak. And then we also do something called katas. So like this repetition, like solving very small problems to kind of try and change the way that we're thinking about things. Thank you so much. So let's go through the 8 things. First one is learning. As programmers, we know that there's always room to learn more. Things evolve all the time. Nothing stands still. There are new ways of doing things, even if the software isn't actually changing itself. Sweet. Who's familiar with the idea of emptying your cup? Sweet. So there's this excellent book called Apprenticeship Patterns, which I highly, highly recommend. And one of the sections in the book talks about how we learn and how we kind of take in learning. And one of the stories is emptying your cup, and it's about this master that's teaching a student philosophy. And every single time he brings up something different that he feels the student could benefit from learning, the student says, "Oh wait, I already know that. I've already used it on 5 other things. I totally get that. You can just skip to the next thing." Keeps happening, keeps happening, keeps happening. Later in the day, the master prepares a tea ceremony and gives the student a cup, starts filling the cup, gets halfway full, gets 3/4 of the way full, gets all the way full, starts overflowing, just keeps pouring. The student says, "What are you doing? Can't you see you're spilling all over the place?" And the master just stops and puts the teapot down. And he says, "How can you expect to learn more things if you don't empty your cup? How can you take anything more into you if you're not basically changing yourself to be a vessel for learning more?" So having a beginner's mind is really important. This is something that I learned a lot from Apprenticeship Patterns. It's a book I highly, highly recommend. And it basically walks through and teaches you how to be a beginner. Because it's funny to think that we need to learn how to be beginners, but a lot of us have been doing this for a long time, and we forget what it's like to be the noob in the community. We forget what it's like to be somebody who doesn't know something. And unfortunately, in our community, we have a lot of problems around dealing with beginners, around assuming that people don't know enough, around judging a person based on how new they are in the community. The Ruby community is better about this, but tech in general has a really hard problem with it. So, I don't know if you can tell, it says kata. So this presentation is divided into lessons learned and then things we can do to practice. Because I want everybody to be able to take something away and start applying it today to the way that they're acting to each other, acting to coworkers, acting to people online. So learning. We need to be willing to consider other people's point of view. I have had a lot of problems with coworkers I've worked with where I'll start talking about something and they consider themselves the resident expert, so automatically kind of start denying the things that I say, even if I might bring a fresh perspective. And I know that I've been guilty of this myself. I already know that. I've read all of the docs on it. I get it. I know the person who wrote it. I can just ask them a question. We don't always have the answer. The answer isn't even always readily apparent, and in talking to them, it can kind of grow from there, but assuming that we know doesn't help anything. So the why game. This is probably my favorite game to play with new people, and I play this a lot at conferences. Walk up to somebody you don't know today and ask them a question. Ask them where they're from, where they work, what they're most passionate about, what their favorite talk was, and don't stop asking them questions. Keep asking. Don't offer anything about yourself until they stop and ask you a question. You'd be surprised how often we're so ready to kind of push information that we know about ourselves and somebody else before they're interested in that information. So the first rule is ask questions. Keep asking questions. Don't offer anything unless asked. And this works really well with people that are new. So if you're bringing somebody new onto your team, this is the way that you can find out what they know, where they want to learn, where they want to grow. Because we don't know all of this stuff without finding out. So the second section, empathy. This is one of my favorite topics. So empathy is like emotional understanding. I can put myself in your place. I've been there before. I totally get it. I have a woman that I mentor in Madison, just starting to learn Ruby and Rails, and she's wanted to go to conferences for a long time, hasn't been able to afford it. We've been helping her with books and that kind of thing. And we have a conference in Madison called Madison Ruby, and another friend of mine bought an extra ticket to Madison Ruby and just gave it to her. No expectation, just understood. I've been a beginner. I know I haven't always been able to afford to go to conferences, especially as somebody who, my job isn't paying for it, or there is no obvious financial expectation coming out the other end. I've been there. I get it. So everybody's been in a position where somebody dismissed your idea and it makes you feel like crap. I thought a lot about this and I put a lot of time into it, and you didn't even give it the time of day. Somebody decided not to merge your pull request. Man, I really wanted that to be my first merge on this project. I really wanted to get a commitment, and now I just got dismissed. And they don't understand how much work went into it. So we can't know all the things. So take the time, start asking genuine questions, get the context from people. So this is my favorite section, actually. So Hacker School is this program in New York City that this past year Etsy sponsored. And one of the things that they did was they tried to get more women to participate, and they offered scholarships and got I want to say like 40% of the students were women. Really awesome. One of the things that they have on their wall at Hacker School is a list of rules. Very simple rules. They seem super obvious. And I have spent about the past year trying to internalize them. And I fail all the time. And I'm trying really hard. And I talk to people a lot about these rules. And I would like to see more people start internalizing them too. So the first one is no saying, well, actually. And I call this well, actually disease. Well, actually, that's not the way that it works. And it's like comic book guy from The Simpsons, who is so quick to like jump all over everything that you're saying because what you're saying is wrong or not technically correct. Second one is no feigning surprise. I can't believe you don't know that. You don't know who that person is? No backseat driving. You really should have done it this way. That was a really dumb idea. You should probably just start over. I don't know why you didn't ask me in the first place. No sexism, racism, or subtle discrimination. We all know what the obvious stuff is. It's pretty obvious when you say things like, girls aren't good at programming. It's not so obvious when you walk up to somebody and assume that, there's somebody that is just a booth babe, somebody that's sitting at a table and is marketing. Try to respect people. So the next section is listening. So how many people have been in a conversation they couldn't get a word into? Yeah. Pretty sweet, huh? And it makes you feel really weird and left out, especially if you're in a group of people. Everybody else is talking and you're just kind of sitting there uncomfortably. You start trying to say something and somebody else is really quick to jump in. Listening is really hard. We don't do this enough with other people. We think about what we want to say next, because that's really important. We start talking automatically over somebody else while they're trying to share something because we're so excited and they have to know this thing right this now. And as programmers, we tend to be really articulate people. We spend a lot of time online writing long emails or writing long posts, blog posts on things, or speaking at conferences about things we're really passionate about because we're used to people listening to us a lot. We're really great at speaking. Maybe not the most eloquent, but we're pretty articulate. We are also, most people in this room have probably spent their lives as geeks. They're used to being the ones with the answers. They're used to being the smart kid. So you're used to being the person that other people come to for advice and to hear their opinion because it's important, because you're a smart person, you know what you're talking about. And we have to remember that when we're trying to talk to people and we're trying to get them to listen, that sometimes people are really bad at this stuff. Sometimes people do get really excited and they can't hold it in. Sometimes people are really bad at social cues. Some people are afraid of change and not being in control. I see this a lot with people that have titles that correlate to them being in a higher echelon from everyone else. I'm used to people listening to me all the time because I'm the authority figure on this. So, today, after this talk, go out and just join a conversation and watch for interruptions. Watch people talk over each other. Count the number of times on your hand. You would be surprised how often this happens. Sometimes I sit at a table and I'll be interrupted twice, and then I just stop talking. Just because it's not worth it to me anymore to try and fight to get into the conversation. So how many people are you excluding by not giving them the space to speak? Respect. What makes you feel respected? What makes you feel valued as a person for the things that you do or what you contribute? And it might be easier even to define it as what makes you feel disrespected? What happens when somebody says something to you that is just enough of a cut at the person you are, the work that you do, that you feel crappy about yourself? Think about a time that you've been complimented on an idea you had, or somebody came up and thanked you for a project that you worked on or something that you said. It makes you feel really good. It makes you feel like you're providing value, that this is a place I belong because people see what I'm doing and they appreciate what I'm doing. So this is a tough one in our community, and I've seen this a lot. I see a lot where in the issue queues, in a library that we maybe use really frequently, oops, a regression was introduced, and we've been working for hours on this, but now we're totally getting flamed in the issues. People have no idea that we were up until 3 o'clock in the morning and pushing stuff and ignoring our families, or we didn't go to social functions because this is important enough to us. We wanted to work on it and get this out so everybody could use it. Consider the time and the effort that goes into doing those things. The kinds of things that person could be doing if they weren't sitting and fixing things that you provide value to your clients for every single day. Stop making snarky comments in the issues, please. Come prepared. Do research before you go into meetings. I'm lucky that I have clients that I'm able to have them send me an agenda before I go into a meeting. Because I tell them I would rather not have to say, I don't know, but I'll get back to you later. I want to be able to provide as much value to them when I'm sitting next to them. Take notes if you need them. Ask questions if you need it. So I started out in tech. One of the first things I did in the community is something called Barcamp. Barcamp, if you're not familiar, is an unconference where everybody who attends is also somebody that can present, somebody that can teach something and provide some kind of value. And the major tenet of Barcamp is the law of 2 feet. If you're not getting or giving value where you are, go somewhere you can. The people that are there, the people that show up are the right people. And it's the same thing for open source. It's the exact same thing for our community. If you feel disrespected, call somebody out. Obviously, this has been something that's been on a lot of people's minds for the past couple weeks for obvious reasons. But selflessness isn't respect. You're not respecting yourself if you are in a position and you let somebody say something to you. I don't want to say let somebody say something to you. If somebody says something to you that is disrespectful, find a way to make sure that that's not going to happen again. I really like, this is what I've been doing a lot on Twitter. Sad face, you should feel bad. That's not cool. And I get a lot of really positive feedback from that. Obviously, it's not always possible, it's not always appropriate for the situation, but for the vast majority of instances of problems we have in our communities, that's the easiest way to call it out. Offer to help someone without expectation. I'm going to go out of my way and ask somebody what I can do to help them. I know that you're struggling with this. I know it's taking too much time. Can I write docs for you? Can I test something for you? What can I do to make this easier on you? Because I appreciate what you're doing, and I want to help you do it. This is a good one. So, my code is toast perfect. I never make any mistakes. We don't have anything in our tool belts that allows us to check for problems. We never have any problems. Users never run into any problems. There's never any way that we can kind of let that fail without anything blowing up. But we treat people just like that, where I expect you to act in a certain way all the time. And that's just not the way that we are. The vast majority of people in this room are actually humans. And we make mistakes, and I do it all the time, and people call me out all the time. And I consider myself a little bit more well-versed than the average human, and I still screw up all the time. So assume best intentions. Not everybody always means something the way they say it. And it's really hard. I've gotten a lot of subtle digs from people where I ask them, did you mean to say that to me? Or can you rephrase what you just said? Because they don't always actually mean what they say. It's a lot easier when you're behind a computer and you can think about what you're saying. But when you're sitting next to your coworker and your coworker says something that makes you really upset, they haven't had the extra 30 seconds to actually process it before typing it. They don't have the correction plus star to be able to send next. So let people fail gracefully. We don't burn the whole house down if something goes wrong. Everyday interactions are hard, and dealing with new people is hard, and we have to figure out how to help people get through these kind of sticky situations and kind of get their sea legs to learn and grow without them completely being turned off to the entire process. Some things can't be fixed. That's really hard. I've definitely worked in situations where I've had coworkers where I knew that I just couldn't deal with them anymore. I knew that this was not a positive situation. It's not something that I want to continue to put myself in. The powers that be aren't going to do anything about it. And sometimes you have to learn to walk away. And it's hard, especially if it's somebody that's a friend of yours or somebody that you really respect, but your sanity is more important than that. A recipe for apologizing. Super, super easy, I promise. It's like making ice, if you guys have seen the how to make ice recipe. Acknowledge the problem. Oops. Let's try that. Acknowledge the problem. What I just said was not okay. Oops. I'm sorry. Literally, that is all you need to say, I am sorry. Don't add a caveat in there. If you say but, start over. Because that's not an apology. Make amends by learning. Try your best to not do that again. You're going to screw up. I screw up all the time. But the way that you can respect the person that you just offended, or even if they don't even realize that you offended them, but you said something wrong or did something wrong. Make yourself better for the next person you have that interaction with. Cool. All right. This is the audience participation section. Think of somebody that's made a difference to you. You're going to need it in a second. Telling somebody thank you is super free. Doesn't cost you anything. I have unlimited thank yous in my little bag of holding. It makes me feel good when I say thank you to somebody and I see them smile. It makes them feel good. I feel like I'm appreciated. I feel like I'm doing something of value. Everybody wins. All right, ready? Grab your phone. Okay? That person that you were thinking of earlier, tweet at them. Thank you, person, for doing X. Don't let that stop with today. Go out of your way to say thank you to people. I hear you guys giggling. Let's go. That's really awesome. Don't let this stop with today. I can't tell you how many times that I've heard somebody say to me, I really enjoy pairing with her. I really enjoy the way that she solves problems, or the way that he thinks about things. And I say, did you tell them that? No, I didn't think about it. Well, it makes me feel happy for that person that you're telling me. And I definitely feel better about that person, but that person would love to hear that. Everybody sweet? Sweet. Oh, I didn't send mine. I hope I'm the only person that tweets on stage here. See.
I managed not to do it. It was hard.
So how do you feel? Does that make you feel good that somebody on the other end of that is going to see that and smile, that their friends are going to see that and smile? That that they might work an extra 10 minutes on something that they're providing to the community for free, or that they might stay an extra 10 minutes after work to help you with something because they know that you actually appreciate it? It's a big deal. So, number 7. Only one more after this. Modeling behavior. So we've learned a lot, and we've come up with some things that we're going to start applying today, I hope. But we need to start acting. It's not enough to do the minimum anymore. You know better now, right? We're going to go out of our way to start changing this, to start making people feel welcome in the community, to start, yes?
Is there a hashtag for the thank you tweets?
Ruby thanks. We need to go out of our way to start making people feel like they're valued and respected. Change is hard. It's really, 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 really hard. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practice. It starts with us, though. Have you ever worked with somebody that they inspired you just in the way they treated other people, or just in the way they wrote their code, or just in the way they wrote their commit messages even? It changes the way that you do things. I work out of an office in Madison called Bendyworks. And there's somebody there named Joe. He's a pretty cool guy. He, over the past year, has worked on something called One Up, which is this program that he started. I hope that's somebody saying thank you to you. He started this program called One Up, which is basically he wanted to spend a year becoming a world-class developer. So every 2 weeks he would change something he was studying, and he would talk to people that were experts on that, pair with them, work on projects. He's released tons of open source projects because of this. And every, Bendyworks has growth days on Friday. So every Thursday he comes around with this whiteboard and has all the projects, all the open source projects that Bendyworks cares about. And it's got this big matrix on it. And it says, what are you going to work on? And he actually has people initial the things that they're going to work on to give people the momentum to move forward. Now you have something you know you're going to be doing tomorrow. Now you know what you're going to be contributing to and how you're going to be helping. We can help pair you up with somebody who's also passionate about that. And he's really inspiring to me. I really appreciate that he's somebody that is doing his best to not only make himself better, but to help the people around him be better. So I'm sure most people have seen this. This is a really kind of cliched platitude, but it really works here. so bear with me. Be the person you want to work with. I want somebody who's nice, not just nice, but I want somebody who helps me get better. I want somebody who goes out of their way to help me. I want somebody who is respectful and represents our community or our company in the best light possible. Be the person you want to see in the issues. Would you want somebody like doing poop icons for 20 characters across your issues? Probably not. Last section. So now that we have all these tools, it's time to actually go out and start making things better. About 3 months ago, I started mentoring a woman named Sarah, learning Ruby, and she's never programmed before. And I thought that was really cool. Like I can't think of a time when I wasn't programming. So it's cool that she's starting to get into this. She has a bunch of programmer friends. And about a month into her learning Ruby, she sent this out. That tweet made me feel awesome. Absolutely awesome. I was like overjoyed, like right now, like seriously, makes me feel super, super awesome. But not only that, the response that she got from the Ruby community, which she doesn't know, was amazing. She got tons of retweets and favorites. People were responding to her and say, welcome to the community. Let us know how we can help you. We want you to stay here. You belong here. Think about what that does to somebody who's not met anyone here, who's not been to a conference before. That's a huge deal. So what I want you to do is go out and do something. Mentor somebody, organize a meetup, go to a conference and help out with a Rails Bridge or Rails Girls. There are a lot of easy ways that you can participate in the community. Just ask. I mean, I'm sure that if you just posted on Twitter after this and said, how can I help in my city do this, you'd get tons of responses. Be an ambassador for our community. Be an ambassador for your employer. You're representing us and them when you go out into the community. I want people to say, people in the Ruby community are nice. They are awesome. They are welcoming. I actually started a little rivalry with the Python community about who can be more inclusive, who can make people feel more welcome, and change the ratio of diversity that we have in our industry. And it's fun. We go out of our way to try and make these things better, and we're making each other better in the process. So we picked up some tools today. Emptying your cup, being ready to learn new things. The Hacker School rules. Remember, there are 4 of them. Watching for interruptions. Offering to help. Knowing how to apologize. 3 ingredients, remember, super easy, just like ice cubes. Saying thank you. And making more things awesome. So we're going to start changing things today, right? It's super easy, it's super fun. And we're going to go out and be excellent to each other. I want to see the difference in you, and I hope that you guys can see the difference in me. It's really important to me that I'm somebody that people see as somebody that's respectful and fun to be around and that provides value. And I'm sure that it's important to you. So thank you.